Hey, all my Crimsonites, and welcome to the Crimson Cure channel, where we embrace our femininity, increase our womanly values, and celebrate our brothers. So join me on our feminine journey to learn, heal, and grow. Hey there, my Crimsonites, and welcome to the Crimson Cure channel. I'm your host, femininity coach, and author of The Crimson Cure, and this is my perspective. So, the good news is that Travis Rudolph was found not guilty on all counts, and he gets to walk away a free man. In this case, and in my opinion, justice was served. Rarely, really, for Black men, especially in this type of situation where they are caught up in situations and circumstances where they have ended up taking a life from someone. Typically, Black men are viewed as the criminal no matter what. And the reality is, in this particular case, in my opinion as well, it should not really have been a trial, because from the get-go, Mr. Rudolph was a victim in this crime, right? 4 men at the behest of Winnie the Pooh, aka Dominique Jones, was sent there to, quote, shoot his ish up, and 4 men showed up at his doorstep in the middle of the night with intent to harm. They fought. One of them brought a gun, and when Travis responded in like manner and actually shot his gun, one of those young men passed away and the other one was injured. I'm happy that Travis gets to walk, okay? Because he was not guilty. He wasn't guilty of any wrongdoing. Somebody comes to your home fighting, they've got weapons, they're on your property, you have every right. And that's one of the things that I think was also on trial. Black men's right to self-defense. Does a Black man have the right to defend his life and the life of his family, even if that means he has to use deadly or lethal force to do so? The concept of whether or not Black men are able to defend themselves, whether in using deadly force or not, I think was also on trial, because Dominique, as a woman, was initiating and instigating physical contact and physical violence with Travis, and he is seen as, especially on camera, as not hitting her back, more so trying to stop her from hitting him or restraining her, but not throwing any blows of his own. And in this instance, we can actually understand that men are not seen as particularly Black men are not allowed to defend themselves against aggressors. Anybody should be able to be aggressive and violent with Black men. They should be able to beat them up. They should be able to accost them. They should be able to shoot them. They should be able to delete them. They should be able to steal from them or take things from them. And Black men always have to think twice and 3 times and 4 times about what their reaction and response should be to other people being aggressive with them, because for so long, Black men are seen as the natural aggressor. He's always in the wrong. He's always the criminal. He's always the one who is initiating something negative, and he can't ever be the victim because he's always the aggressor. So with this stigma surrounding Black men and their entire perception, public perception or cultural perception, Black men always have to think several times about what is an appropriate response for him. This is a thought that other people don't have to do. White men don't have to think about whether or not they should defend themselves. even in the use of deadly force, if they think it's deemed worthy. We just had also in Florida an incident where a Black woman was shot through the door, through a closed door, by a white woman. And it took them a minute to even make the arrest because they were like, well, we don't know if that was necessarily excessive force or not, or lethal force. We don't know if this, how threatened this white woman felt in her home behind a closed door. We don't know how threatened she felt. She might have felt that her life was in danger of some sort, and that the Black woman on the other side of the door was of an imminent danger. And it's a question because of how masculine and aggressive Black women are as well, because we know that you argue and fight, right? So now it can be a question. That can even be a question of whether or not shooting somebody through the door was excessive or not. But in the case of Travis Rudolph, he had to go through an entire trial with all kind of evidence and witnesses hitting the stand to decide whether or not he had the right to defend himself against 4 assailants that came to his home to cause him harm. The part that bothers me about this is that Dominique Jones walks too. She's not found guilty of anything. She wasn't even on trial. What happens when these women get away with initiating murder? She initiated the murder of the killing of Sebastian. She initiated that. Young man died because of the foolishness that she was involved in. Because y'all always calling somebody when you feel quote unquote disrespected. You always calling somebody instead of just handling your situation like a grown woman. You already in the wrong. You already married. You already over here with this man. You already not telling this man that you a married woman. So you putting his life in danger either way, because what if your ex-husband is the jealous type that want to fight whoever like you? Right? So this is a female that is heedless and reckless with all of the lives of all the men in her life. She's reckless with all of these men's lives and livelihoods and outcomes. She doesn't care what happens to any of these men, because that the young man that died could have well been her brother, because she sent her blood brother over there to ultimately get dealt with. She was sent them over there to deal with another Black man who was in the house with his brother, yet another Black man. And they was in the house with their mother, an older Black woman. So the part that bothers me is that Dominique is also free. She's also not held accountable for the role that she played in instigating the violence that ultimately ended somebody's life and sent another man to jail and put him on trial for his future to be decided by 12 people. Which, again, we're glad that they came back with a not guilty verdict, because if you watch the trial, you could tell that Travis, his brother, and his mother were telling the truth, because there was no stuttering. There was no trying to figure it out. They wasn't trying to play semantics. It was just, listen, this is what happened. Boom, bam, boom. So there are a lot of things to discuss here, because people, as clear cut as this case was, you did have a few people in some of these comment sections talking about, well, he shot and they were riding off, as if you can't turn a car around and spin the block, as if guns don't shoot out of cars. Because Black men are not supposed to defend themselves. And they certainly are not allowed to use deadly force in that defense. I don't like it that Dominique doesn't have any accountability taken. If nothing else, I would think that the family of Sebastian would at least launch a civil suit against Dominique. Now, they're not going to get no money because Winnie the Pooh ain't got no money. Okay? So, but it's the principle of it. Because her getting to just go off and live her life and hang out with Tigger and Piglet, that's not sitting well in my spirit. Because too many women get away with that. Initiate the violence that go on between men and then sit back and act like they didn't have nothing to do with nothing. And her defense of sending her brothers over there was that Travis ultimately didn't get shot, so oh well. Don't sit right. I think some type of lawsuit needs to come against Dominique from somebody. But in any case, I just wanted to touch on that. Jump down in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Like, share, subscribe to the channel if you have not. Once again, I'm your host, The Crimson Cure, and this was my perspective. Bye-bye, Crimsonites.